So here it is, the video we've all been waiting for. What rubbish have I bought now? This was supposed to be part 1, but it ended up as part 3. So let's get started. Hello and welcome to this episode of Microchips, and what rubbish have I bought now? Well, this was supposed to be part 1, but it ended up as part 3. You've already seen the other 2 parts, which was the realistic microphones and the Binatone 5-star, but this is absolutely the star of the show. But before we start, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, join Facebook, join Patreon, buy me coffee, have a look at my website, microchips.net, and let's unbox this rubbish. So, like I say, this should have been part 1. So this was relatively cheap off eBay. I put an offer in and the guy accepted it, or should we say the seller accepted it. And as we saw from the Binatone, that was, that was pretty ropey. But what caught my eye was obviously the realistic microphone, which we've already sorted out. And we've made that nice. And yes, that's where the case for the battery come, but I actually took the batteries out because they were furry. It did take me a little while to get round to this video. So what have we got in the box? Well, we've got another microphone. And we've got radios. Well, we know what one of the radios is. Or what should we say was. It was the Binatone 5-star, which has already been repaired and sorted out. So there's a hint, we have a Colt microphone. So does this mean there's a Colt radio in here as well? And yes, we do. We have a Colt. Bit of a broken socket. And there we have it, a Colt 1200DX. Did I get a good deal? Well, you have to wait and find out. So, radio's not in too bad a condition, really. I've seen worse. So let's take the lid off and see what horrors await us inside. So on initial opening, everything looks good, as to be expected. 121 board. Nothing seems out of place apart from a big resistor. There it is, 121 D4X. For all you playing along at home. Yeah, a big resistor there. Maybe this was some power reduction thing. Who knows? Yeah, that'll come out in time. Not a problem. So none of the RF bias mods have been done. ALC's not been done. PLL 22nd week of 1981. Nice cracked core inside the VCO. But we're going to be swapping that out anyway. And let's have a look at the circuit board side. And I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I mean, what has happened here? Why? I mean, everything looks fine from the top, and you turn it over, and it looks like somebody's been drilling for oil. And I took a moment to digest this, and I was like, why? Why would you do that? So I suppose we should see if the radio does actually do something. It's obviously not going to transmit with those coils in the state that they are, but we should be able to get something out of it. So obviously no TX, as to be expected. Absolutely nothing on TX. Yeah, that's fine, to be expected. We are receiving, so that's a good sign. So at least half the radio is working.
2 weeks later.
So yeah, it took me a while to get around to this due to the other radios and knowing how big of a job this would be. So yeah, a couple of weeks have passed and we're back on the Colt again. So let's start with the jobs that need to be done. Why don't I start on the coils? Well, let's at least fix the power socket first. Because, you know, a little bit of a hole in the board is not going to stop me. Not at all. I mean, it's trivial, really. So there's our new one, correctly orientated. Wrap the wires back around it, and we'll solder this into place. And this is going to be first of many jobs. So we'll just solder this nicely into place. Plenty of heat, plenty of solder. There, lovely, just like new. And we'll put it back in its hole. Screw it back into place. Lovely. Okay, that's the radio fixed. Let's move along. No, it's not. So we know it's got gaping holes around the coils. We know it's receiving, albeit a little bit poorly, but I'm sure that will correct itself in alignment. But it is receiving. We just need to do something with this. So I've unsoldered what I can. And we'll have a look at these coils, see whether they are salvageable or whether they are absolute toast. So we'll just push them through. Let's have a look. So this will be T5 and T4. And they look a little bit rough underneath. So I can see why it's not working. There's a piece of wire flapping about. I mean, what on earth has somebody done to cause this amount of damage? So we're having a look under the microscope and we can see the coils, and one of them looks okay, but the one on the right hand side, you can see there's actually wires there. So let's have a quick look at that one. That one looks okay. So it's got a little bit of damage on it, but no, that would have been T4. Now looking at it carefully, it's actually missing the centre leg. and this would be T5. So we've got all sorts of wire flapping about inside there, and a gaping void where a pin should be. And there's a close-up of the destruction. I mean, I've seen some bodges, but wow, this one really takes the biscuit. This one's real bad. So yeah, there should be a pin in the middle where I suppose all those windings should connect to. Beautiful job, absolutely beautiful. Whoever's done this must be real proud of themselves. So luckily we have a scrap board with 2 coils, so we're going to use those. And this scrap board will show us any traces that are missing. But luckily on the centre pin it does not connect anywhere anyway, so that's fine. But obviously those, well, that coil is not going to work. So we'll remove these from the donor board. The question is what are we going to do with the big gaping hole? So luckily there's no traces that run over the top, so we don't need to worry about that. I've already labelled them up T5 and T4. So I think first off I'm going to give it a scrub with a toothbrush and some isopropyl alcohol, just to see what we're dealing with. So it looks like most of the traces that are important are still there. So we should be okay to rebuild this. Just doing a comparison, just making sure, and we have all the connections that's needed. That centre pin isn't needed, but obviously it's still needed for the coil. But before we do anything, we're just going to check the output of the mixer, and we have a signal that corresponds to the transmit frequency. So what I've done is I've put a bit of tape on the other side of the board, and what we're going to do is we're going to fill this area in with some UV solder mask. So what we'll do is we'll just put it on in layers and cure it in layers. And there, it's not pretty, but it's a lot better than what it was. So we'll put the coils back in. And we'll solder them up. And look, it's absolutely invisible. Nobody would ever know that there was a repair gone on there. Well, I think you would. But it looks a damn sight better than what it did. There's been a lot of soldering around that area as well. I don't know whether somebody was having trouble. Well, obviously they're having trouble because there was a gaping hole in the board. Yeah, it's not pretty, it's not going to win any prizes, but I think it looks a lot better. So let's have a look. So we are getting transmit, which is a lot more than what it did a short while ago. So what's happening with this resistor? I think this resistor needs to come out. I'm sure this isn't doing it any good. And there's our fault with no transmit on FM. We have the broken trace on the Darlington. Obviously sideband works because it doesn't use the Darlington for sideband, just for FM and AM. As you can see, all these pads are flapping about in the breeze and we've lost one. So we'll scratch them back. We'll scratch the two that, shall we say, that are kind of okay. We'll scratch those back and add plenty of solder. Just like so. And what we'll do is we'll put a wire link from the other one. But we'll just add extra solder onto them. So hopefully they don't come loose. And then we've added a wire link over to the pin. That should sort our transmit on FM and AM. Sure enough, we have some form of transmit on FM now. Sideband's working to a fashion. Still showing it's low. I mean, is it just the meter? No, it's actually low. It should be doing a lot more than 2 watts. So, have we got an alignment issue, or is it that stupid resistor? Well, my money's on this resistor, because it shouldn't be there. So I think it's just going to have to come out. So we'll get rid of it. I mean, somebody's taken care to put heat transfer compound on the back of it. Very bizarre. Do we have any better power? Not really. But I'm sure this is just going to be a alignment problem now. So I'm just having a quick look around, see whether I can initially bring it up. Nope, not yet. So we just need to work on this a little bit more. Find out why our power is a bit low. We'll check the RF bias. We've not done the bias resistor yet. We've done a little bit more tinkering around with the alignment. We've got a nice 6-7 watts out of FM and AM, and sideband's now behaving itself. So let's at least correct the bias, and we'll do the audio limiter, which will be this little resistor down there. Let's check our bias voltage. Get that up to a nice healthy 0.7 of a volt. Well, let's do something with that VCO. So out with the green VCO with its cracked core, and we'll put in a nice voltage feed VCO just on the test point. We'll just check it across the bands. Just make sure we've got a lock across all the bands. All my VCOs are tested before dispatch, so minimal adjustment should be needed. So we're going to have a look at the 10692 and 10695. So 10695, we've got you. 10692, we've got you as well. Very nice. So let's do something a little bit different to this radio. So we've got the band switch out. We're just going to decipher the band switch. And we've got the clarifier and we've got the KC shift out. So why are we doing that? So I'm just having a look where our voltages are. So what we're going to do is we're going to take out the crystal board. So there it is out. So I've modified the band switch ever so slightly. So now it's switching negative. So what we're going to do is we're going to fit one of these TCXOs in there. This is one of my earlier ones. So that will replicate the 3 bands, plus give us a digital KC shift and a clarifier. And of course, whilst I had the front off, all the metalwork decided to fall off like it normally does. So that's a good excuse for a good clean. A little bit of a crack on the corner, but nothing a little bit of glue won't sort out. And in true microchips fashion, the old paintbrush comes out and a bit of amber cleanse foam cleaner. People keep asking me where I get that stuff from. It's just amber cleanse. Get it from CPC, RS, places like that. It's nothing special. It's just foam cleaner. So we've straightened up the front metalwork. We've put a bit of double-sided tissue tape on it, and we'll stick that back into place. And that's all it needs. A little bit of a push down. That's good enough. So we're just having a look at the FM discriminator and demodulator. Make sure this hasn't been tweaked all over the place. That's looking good. So we've got the generator on, minus 70 dB. I'm just bringing it down to minus 120. It's on minus 70 dB over an S9. We'll bring that back. So we've done some improvement modifications, a few capacitors here and there. I think this radio is pretty good now. Okay, so the radio sounds well and lives to fight another day. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, join Facebook, join Patreon, buy me a coffee, have a look at my website, microchips.net. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.